Was she upset when she said that? Did I touch her the wrong way? Should I have said something different? "3 months. That's how long it's been since she touched you like a man she couldn't resist. She still hugs you before work. She still holds your hand at dinner. She still tells you she loves you. But you feel it in your gut. It's not the same. Those aren't the hungry touches of a woman who craves you. They're polite. They're safe. They're the kind of affection she could give a brother or a pet. And deep down, you know it. Here's the part most men are too ashamed to admit: you're not rejected. You're not single. You're trapped in something worse. You're the man she relies on, but not the man she burns for. You've become the safe option, the comfortable option, the option that gives her stability but kills her desire. And the sickest part: you thought you were doing everything right. You thought patience, kindness, and endless support would buy you passion. Instead, it bought you a ticket to the friend zone inside your own relationship. You didn't lose her love, you lost her hunger. Listen carefully. Most guys think this is just marriage, that this slow death of desire is inevitable. But that's a lie. You've seen other couples years ahead of you who still can't keep their hands off each other. You wonder what magic they know that you don't. The answer is brutal. They still have polarity. They still have tension. And you, without realizing it, traded yours away for safety. And that's the wound we're going to rip wide open today. You probably didn't notice when it started slipping. At first, sex slowed down, but you told yourself it was normal. Stress, kids, work, life. You made excuses. Then the passion faded. You brushed it off again. And now, intimacy feels like a chore you schedule. Routine, predictable, mechanical. She goes through the motions. You go through the motions. Both of you pretending this is what marriage is supposed to be. But deep down, you know it's not. Here's the sting: you've seen other couples together twice as long, and they still can't keep their hands off each other. You see the way she looks at him, the way she touches him, the way she wants him. And in that moment, you can't help but ask yourself, what do they know that I don't? What do they have that I've lost? The answer is savage in its simplicity. They still have polarity. They still have tension. They still have that dangerous spark. The same spark you traded away for safety. And here's the truth no man likes to face. You didn't mean to become boring. You didn't wake up one day and decide to kill the passion. But slowly, piece by piece, you chose peace over fire, comfort over risk, niceness over danger. And without realizing it, you became her emotional lifeline instead of her lover. You became predictable, always available, always agreeable, never challenging, never dangerous. And in her eyes, that's not desire, that's dependency. Society applauds you for it. They call you mature, evolved, a good husband, the kind of man women should want. But behind closed doors, you feel yourself shrinking. Your masculinity atrophies. Your desire leaks into porn, into fantasy, into anywhere but her. And here's the gut punch. You know she loves you, but she's not in love with you. She appreciates you, but she doesn't crave you. She needs you, but she doesn't want you. That realization is brutal. Rejection would at least leave hope, but being loved without being desired, that's slow suffocation. That's dying in comfort. And the cruel twist, you did it to yourself. You thought endless niceness would buy you passion, but niceness doesn't make her wet. Safety doesn't make her hungry. And the more you hide behind it, the more invisible you become. internal contradiction. No, you give more hoping she'll want you more. But the more you give, the less she sees you. And here's the part that will sting even worse, because what you think is intimacy isn't intimacy at all. In part 2, I'll show you the exact trap nice guys fall into, and why it quietly kills her desire while you think you're keeping the relationship alive. Here's the trap almost every nice guy falls into. You think emotional connection equals attraction. You believe that if you listen long enough, support her deeply enough, stay endlessly patient and soft, she'll eventually see you as irresistible. But that's not how desire works. Emotional intimacy without sexual polarity doesn't create passion, it creates friendship. And step by step, you slip from lover to best friend, all while convincing yourself it's love. You stay up late talking about her problems, thinking that's intimacy. You let her vent about her work drama, believing you're building closeness. You play the role of her therapist, her cheerleader, her emotional sponge. And yes, she appreciates it. She values it. But she doesn't crave it. Because appreciation doesn't fuel attraction. And here's the brutal truth you don't want to hear while you're sitting there proving how understanding you are. Her mind drifts. Not necessarily to another man she wants back, but to the memory of how it felt when someone looked at her with raw, unapologetic hunger. When someone pinned her against the wall without asking permission. When desire was undeniable instead of negotiated. She doesn't want him. She wants that feeling again. And she can't find it with you anymore because you buried it under niceness. You settle for companionship because it feels safer. You trade passion for peace because peace doesn't risk rejection. You muzzle your hunger because you're terrified of looking needy or aggressive. But here's the sick irony. Your fear of rejection is the very thing creating it. The more you smother your desire, the less she feels desired. And when a woman doesn't feel desired, she stops desiring you. You've become her emotional safety net, her stability, her roommate, her girlfriend with a penis. You're the one she confides in, the one she relies on, the one she thanks for always being there. All of those roles sound noble, but none of them make her pulse race. None of them make her wet. And this arrangement can last forever. You can spend decades this way, sexless but stable. Loved like family but never wanted like a man. People around you will call it success. They'll say you're lucky. But deep down, you know the truth every time you crawl into bed beside her. She isn't rejecting you because she doesn't love you. She's rejecting you because she doesn't feel you anymore. The man she once craved has gone missing. And in part 3, you'll see how this emotional trap leads to your worst enemy, your own mind. Overthinking, second-guessing, living in your head instead of your body. And that spiral kills attraction faster than anything else. This is where the spiral takes over. You feel the distance. You see her pulling away. Instead of stepping into your body, you retreat deeper into your head. You start analyzing every look, every word, every silence. Was she upset when she said that? Did I touch her the wrong way? Should I have said something different? Your brain runs endless loops, and while you're trapped in thought, your presence vanishes. Sex stops being something you feel. It becomes something you perform. You're not with her. You're inside your own head, judging yourself in real time, calculating the next move, monitoring her reactions, trying to control the outcome. But desire doesn't live in calculations. Desire lives in energy, in tension, in the primal charge that only exists when two people are fully there with each other. And right now, you're not there. You're somewhere else. She feels that absence instantly. She knows your body is in the room, but you're not. She feels your hands, but not your hunger. She sees your eyes, but behind them, you're questioning instead of claiming. That emptiness is colder than rejection, because she doesn't just feel unloved, she feels unseen. And nothing kills attraction faster than absence. Overthinking is your curse disguised as a gift. It helps you solve problems at work, avoid mistakes, calculate risks. But in intimacy, it poisons everything. Every second you analyze, you disconnect. Every thought about desire kills the desire. You replace raw hunger with hesitation. You replace presence with pressure. You trade being a man in the moment for being a critic on the sidelines of your own life. And the cycle tightens. You worry she's losing interest, so you become needy. That neediness repels her. You feel her pulling back, so you try even harder to please. But the harder you try, the less she feels your presence. The more you think, the further she drifts. Until sex itself becomes a performance, you've already failed before it even begins. This is why you feel invisible in your own relationship. Not because you're broken, not because you're unworthy, but because you abandoned the one thing that makes you magnetic: your presence. Women don't crave a man who's flawless on paper. They crave a man who's here, in his body, alive, engaged, dangerous. A man who makes her forget the world because his energy fills the room. Until you reclaim that, every kiss will feel empty. Every touch will feel hollow. Every night will get colder than the one before. If you want undeniable proof of how deep this problem runs, look at the women who see it. Most clearly escorts. They spend their lives face to face with male desire, stripped of masks, stripped of excuses, stripped of the polished performance men show the world. They see the high-powered CEO who dominates boardrooms collapse into neediness the moment he enters a bedroom. They see men with money, respect, and admiration still ache with emptiness. Because despite everything they've built, they've forgotten how to actually be there. What these women learn again and again is simple presence is everything. A man can have the body, the words, the technique, but if he isn't present, it all falls flat. He's just another guy checking boxes, rehearsing lines, acting out a role. Presence isn't about perfection. It's about showing up fully, not trapped in your head worrying about tomorrow's meeting, not overthinking her every response, not monitoring your performance like a nervous actor. Presence is unapologetic. It's hunger. It's masculinity in real time. And here's the truth. Presence is rare. That's why when a man finally drops out of his head and into his body, everything changes. The room changes. The energy shifts. Sex stops being a transaction and becomes something unforgettable. Because she doesn't need your perfect technique. She doesn't need a script. She needs you. She wants the weight of your attention, the heat of your desire, the force of your presence pressing into her until she can't think of anything else. But most men sabotage themselves before they even get there. They apologize for wanting. They tiptoe around their own hunger. They negotiate for touch like beggars instead of claiming it like men. They arrive already defeated, terrified of being too much. And in trying so hard not to scare her, they erase themselves completely. What she's left with isn't a man. It's a hollow shell, safe, polite, forgettable. That's why women describe sex with nice guys as empty. The body is there, but the man is gone. He's speaking words but not feeling them. He's touching her body but not wanting it. He's physically present but energetically absent. And she feels that absence like a cold wind. It's lonely. It's suffocating. And it's the reason she pulls further away every time. Here's the truth you don't want to admit. Women don't get bored because you lack technique. They get bored because you lack presence. And until you learn to show up fully mind quiet, body alive, nothing will change. And here's where the cycle tightens its grip. Sexual rejection. She says she's tired, not in the mood. Maybe tomorrow. You laugh it off, pretend it doesn't sting, but inside, it cuts deep. Because when you live in your head, everything feels personal. Her no doesn't sound like exhaustion. It sounds like you're not attractive enough. You're not man enough. You're not worth wanting. That shame hardens into a wall between you. The next time you think about making a move, you hesitate. You question yourself. You play out scenarios in your head. And by the time you act, the moment is already gone. Every hesitation makes her feel the distance more. Every pause confirms her disinterest. Rejection becomes easier for her, harder for you. And intimacy starts to feel less like connection and more like a test you're destined to fail. Here's the truth: though one told you sexual tension and emotional connection run on different fuel. Being her emotional support doesn't make her crave you. Listening to her problems doesn't make her wet. Holding space for her feelings doesn't ignite desire. Those things make her feel safe. But safe is not the same as turned on. Safe doesn't spark fire. And yet, this is where nice guys keep sabotaging themselves. You confuse being safe with being desirable. You present your interest as polite appreciation instead of raw hunger. You water down your desire until it sounds like a compliment instead of a claim. But appreciation makes her smile. Hunger makes her ache. And your hunger has been so buried, so muted, that she starts wondering if it ever existed at all. So what does she do? It fills the void with fantasy. Not always about another man. Often, not even about a real person. Sometimes it's just about the feeling of being wanted, the heat of being chosen, the thrill of being consumed by someone who's fully there, someone who makes her forget everything else. And right now, she doesn't feel that with you. The withdrawal begins slowly. First, she stops initiating. Then, she stops responding with enthusiasm. Eventually, she stops responding altogether. Each stage is her pulling away from the emptiness she feels in you. You're still asking for sex, but you're not really there when it happens. You're going through motions. Your body is present, but your energy is gone. And faced with that emptiness, she decides she'd rather have nothing than settle for hollow intimacy with a man who's missing in spirit. The excuses follow headaches, early mornings, heavy dinners. But they aren't excuses. They're shields. Shields against the loneliness of being touched by someone who isn't truly there. Shields against the ache of sex without presence. Shields against the heartbreak of lying next to a man who's alive in body, but dead in energy. So how do you break free from this spiral? It doesn't start with her. It starts with you. Desire isn't something she can hand back to you like a gift. It's something you reclaim by stepping out of your head and back into your body. Because desire doesn't live in thought. It doesn't live in analysis. It lives in your breath. It lives in your skin. It lives in the raw pulse of a man who is fully here, fully alive, fully unashamed. Most nice guys never get this. They think the answer is to be even more considerate, even more gentle, even more careful. But every time you shrink yourself, every time you sand down your edges, every time you choose safe over real, you kill the very polarity that makes her want you. She doesn't want smaller. She doesn't want quieter. She doesn't want safer. She wants you present. She wants you grounded. She wants to feel the certainty you've been hiding because you're afraid it's too much. This is why so many marriages end up stable but sexless. Not because husbands are bad men, not because wives are cruel, but because men stop showing up as men. They vanish into thought. They negotiate instead of leading. They apologize for wanting instead of owning it. And in the process, they erase the very energy that once made her burn. Reclaiming it doesn't mean turning into some fake alpha. It means reconnecting with your body. When you want to touch her, stop overthinking it. Touch her. When you want to kiss her, stop waiting for the perfect moment. Lean in. When you want her, stop hinting with polite compliments. Let her feel it in your eyes, your hands, your presence. Because here's the truth. Most men never hear. Your presence is your real power, not your words, not your money, not your achievements. Your presence, the weight of your attention, the heat of your desire, the steady ground of your masculinity. That's what wakes her up. That's what pulls her back. That's what reignites her craving for you. And no, you can't fake it. Presence can't be performed. It has to be practiced. Start with the smallest things. Feel your feet hit the ground when you walk. Feel the water on your skin when you shower. Feel your lungs fill when you breathe. These little acts bring you back into your body. They rebuild the muscle of awareness that years of overthinking destroyed. And once you bring that awareness into the bedroom, everything changes. Look at her like you did when you first met. The cost of avoiding this work is far bigger than a dead bedroom. When you stop leading, when you stop showing up with presence, you slowly erase yourself. Your opinions turn into soft suggestions. Your needs shrink into polite requests. Your boundaries dissolve into endless negotiations. Piece by piece, you fade into the background, and she feels it. The respect she once had for you slips away, because deep down, she cannot respect a man who doesn't respect himself. And here's the brutal truth. No one told you. Women don't lose respect because you want too much. They lose respect because you stop wanting altogether. Attraction isn't built on safety. It's built on polarity. When you hesitate, she hesitates. When you're uncertain, she's uncertain. When you refuse to lead, she can't relax into following. And without that polarity, she has two choices: step into the masculine role herself, or emotionally check out. Neither option leads to passion. Both options kill desire. Reclaiming leadership doesn't mean barking orders or acting domineering. It's not about control, it's about balance. When she's in chaos, you ground her. When she's emotional, you stay steady. When she's uncertain, you stand firm. You don't mirror her mood, you counterbalance it. That's what reignites the charge between you. That's what makes her feel feminine in your presence again. And you can't do this with speeches. Words won't save you. Action will. When you feel the impulse to touch her, don't hesitate. Touch her. When you want to kiss her, don't ask for permission like a teenager. Lean in. When you want her, stop hiding behind hints and politeness. Let her feel it in your eyes, your body, your energy. Nothing kills desire faster than negotiating intimacy like it's a contract. Your presence is the invitation. Your decisiveness is the signal. Your embodied desire is the green light. She doesn't want to be asked if it's okay to be wanted. She wants to feel wanted. She wants to feel your certainty, even when she's uncertain. She wants to feel your hunger, even when she's distant. The reality is simple. Without presence and leadership, you become invisible. With them, you become undeniable. A woman doesn't respect a man because he's endlessly nice. She respects him because he's grounded, decisive, alive. When you stop leading, You stop being seen. And when you stop being seen, you stop being desired. So how do you start reclaiming that magnetic presence? Sometimes, it's as simple as your eyes. Not the quick, polite glance of a friend. Not the check-in look that asks, "Are you okay?" Real eye contact. The kind that lingers. The kind that says, "I want you. Right now." A look so undeniable she feels it in her body before you ever touch her. In that moment, you stop being her safe companion and become her man again. But this is where most nice guys collapse. They hide their hunger. They dilute it into compliments. They look at her like she's pretty, not like she's the only woman they crave. And that difference matters. Appreciation makes her smile. Hunger makes her ache. Appreciation flatters. Hunger ignites. And if she can't feel that raw, unapologetic desire in you, she will start searching for it elsewhere in fantasy, in daydreams, maybe even in another man's gaze. This is why being nice has never been enough. You've spent years sanding down your edges, eliminating every rough spot, removing every trace of danger. You've made yourself so safe you're invisible, so agreeable you're forgettable, so predictable you're sexless. And then you wonder why she treats you like a brother instead of a lover. The problem isn't that she stopped wanting men. The problem is that you stopped showing up as one. Here's the shift you've been avoiding. The opposite of nice isn't mean. It's real. Real men have edges. Real men have hunger. Real men risk rejection because they understand passion only lives on the edge of risk. When you finally show up real, she feels it. She sees the difference in your eyes. She feels the charge in your touch. She knows she's with a man who isn't afraid of his own desire. Stop apologizing for wanting her. Stop hiding your masculinity because you think it's too much. Start letting her feel the fire you've been suppressing. That's the spark that flips everything. That's the raw current that reignites polarity. That's what makes her look at you again, not as her safe partner, but as the man she can't stop thinking about. Because the truth is simple. Women don't lose attraction because you're too raw, too hungry, or too real. They lose attraction because you've gone neutral, and neutral never creates desire. Taking responsibility starts with facing the truth. You haven't just lost her desire, you've lost your presence. Your body may still be next to her, but you haven't been there for a long time. You disappeared into your head. You shrank yourself to be nice. You traded hunger for safety. And now you're living with the consequences, because safety doesn't create passion. Niceness doesn't spark fire. Neutrality doesn't generate chemistry. The good news: you don't need to become someone else. You don't need to play act as an alpha. You don't need cheesy pickup tricks. What you need is to reclaim the man you buried, to step back into your skin, to stop apologizing for wanting what you want. Because passion doesn't come from negotiation. It comes from presence, from risk, from being fully alive and unapologetically real. And yes, it's dangerous. You might be seen as too much, too direct, too raw. But here's the question. You can't escape. Would you rather risk rejection or live the rest of your life suffocating in the slow death of being loved but never desired? That's the line every man has to face. And only one side leads back to fire. Because she isn't rejecting your sexuality, she's rejecting your absence. She isn't turned off by your desire, she's turned off by your fear of it. The strategy you've been running, be nice, be safe, be endlessly available, worked perfectly. It gave you exactly what it was designed to give: friendship. But friendship isn't what you want, and it's not what she truly craves either. The transformation begins when you stop hiding your hunger. When you stop apologizing for your edges. When you stop playing small and start showing up real. Because the opposite of nice isn't cruel, it's alive. And when you show up alive, she feels it. She remembers why she chose you. She rediscovers the man she can't ignore. So the choice is yours. Stay safe, predictable, invisible, and watch desire die one day at a time, or risk being present. Risk being real. Risk being the man who makes her feel alive again. Because presence, not niceness, is what changes everything. And if this message hit you in the chest, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Send it to the nice guy who needs to wake up. Like this video, subscribe, and stay locked in because in the next one, I'll show you the exact steps to shift from being her friend back to being her lover. No fluff, no sugarcoating. Just the raw truth that turns safety into fire. The choice is now. Be invisible or be unforgettable. Which man do you choose to be? The ghost or the fire?